I'm here live right now from this incredible turn of events. It seems an outbreak of some sort is happening. While we have heard rumors of a virus apocalypse or basalt zombies that would attack. And this is something entirely different, folks. People are literally transforming before our eyes into something new. Infected with what they're referring to as the Holy Spirit.
There's a virus that's been passed to the masses, growing contagious so that millions now have it. It's a disease without a cure or a serum, and there's no need for a vaccine or injection. There's no inoculation, I hope you all get it, that you spread it to your loved ones and friends. Get sick with it and give it to the kids who share it with their friends, and bring it home to mom and dad and on again. It's a plague that can save you from sin and deception. I pray it invades and reshapes your vision. I play with these antonyms followed by synonyms, speak parables and awaken those listening. Wage spirit battles in the hearts of all doubters, gathering scenes, shouting louder and louder, reaching out, branching to all populations and planting the truth to cause transformation. What you're hearing is contagious. We got a sickness whose symptoms include a relentless pursuit of the truth. This infection is infectious. We warn you now, you listen at your own risk. You're hearing is contagious. We got a sickness whose symptoms include a relentless pursuit of the truth. This infection is infectious. We warn you now, you listen at your own risk.
Used to call me Black Plague, but all I ever do was spread truth and not death. Put knowledge in their heads, try to suppress me. With medicine called the media, change up the history books. Wikipedia lies, they be feeding you, be making you sick. Truth serum is the only real fix, and I'ma spread it all around like ticks. Spread the Lyme disease, contagious like germs every time that you sneeze. In the air that you breathe and portrayed in your lung, have the truth rolling off your tongue. This war has just begun. Won't stop till the battle is won. Light of the world just like the sun. I'm a virus infecting the minds of the lost. Wake them up to the truth at all costs. Gonna spread all over the planet. Cannot be silenced. Antichrist is the ultimate violent tyrant.
What you're hearing is contagious. We got a sickness whose symptoms include a relentless pursuit of the truth. This infection is infectious. We warn you now, you listen at your own risk. You're hearing is contagious. We got a sickness whose symptoms include a relentless pursuit of the truth. This infection is infectious. We warn you now, you listen at your own risk.
Let's critically think about the world that we live in. From the beginning, we've been lied to and tricked into sinning. The devil really thinks that he's winning. People bend morals and values to fit in. A truth that's so spread all over the land. Been derailed by the God of this world. From the plan, let the truth be told. It's time we take a stand. Spoon-fed lies from the media's hands, but you're soon gonna find for real. Like it or not, can't see anything in your views. A blind spot you forgot while you sit on the side. The world rots. This song is like smoking on medicinal pot. It's a cure for I don't wanna know syndrome. You don't care about drones flying over your home. FEMA got America split up in 10 zones, ignorant to the truth that the Bible's shown.
What you're hearing is contagious. We got a sickness whose symptoms include a relentless pursuit of the truth. This infection is infectious. We warn you now, you listen at your own risk. You're hearing is contagious. We got a sickness whose symptoms include a relentless pursuit of the truth. This infection is infectious. We warn you now, you listen at your own risk.
The symptoms include an overwhelming sense of peace and joy in pursuing truth. It's spreading worldwide, folks, like a virus for what they're calling the gospel message of Jesus Christ. This is an amazing scene now, with people running through the streets, hugging, praying with one another, and praising God's name. This is just overwhelming to see this. This is unbelievable, folks. Wow.
The Bible predicts that there's coming a world peace. It will come. But listen, it will be a deceptive peace. It will be the most subtle and the most deceptive trap that's ever been set, because it'll catch the world in it, and they'll be caught and they'll be destroyed.
There's a lot of propaganda, nonsense in a sick sort of way, practically implanted all over the planet. We're seeing signs of the plans they've enacted, the ones they've infected, media connections, implanted messages with music, movies, they hit from all directions. Black evil masses is what they practice in the fast lane, selling the souls abracadabras, witchcraft and magic, and new age counterfeits to truth, manufactured in their package, blasphemous reactions without remorse or regret to their thoughts or their actions. Spiritual affliction, receive the more consequences. All these massive repercussions, a war of attrition. People people plagued by infections, demons who torment and possess them. How do they select them? Through permissive meditations. Some give their bodies without questions, planned out deceptions. Many doorways to select from, maybe alien abductions or Ouija board connections, hypnotic or regression, spirit guide visitations or Kundalini yoga lessons. Demons use these inventions, planting seeds of oppression. How can we know what's fact from the fiction? Caught in a world full of disinformation, wolves in sheep's clothing, imitations. How will you know without a foundation? How can we know what's fact from the fiction? Caught in a world full of disinformation, wolves in sheep's clothing, imitations. How will you know without a foundation?
Truth movement, where's the rage at? Top guys dealing out lies, it's a new age track. Caesarion Nike, Maxwell and Joseph, looking to deceive. They're occultists and hopeless, we got no discernment. This research is hijacked, esoteric disinformation is behind that. I spit flows, exposing these fake wolves. New Age Blavatsky clones, Christ warned of a new age, one world government, twisting his message and their followers are loving it, drifting from salvation, from sin and the solution. Christ became a new age sage, toxic pollution, dudes out to deceive you as peaceful watchmen. They want to mislead you with the secret doctrine, but I'ma preach Christ crucified. Take a stand for the man, they want to see Christ crucified, but that's not happening. Repent and believe, stop trafficking. This Aquarian trash again, total depravity. These wolves are in need of God's grace, don't be mad at me. Dose of reality, give the gospel. The movement needs it, they've all been scammed, all of them by the Gnostics. Can't you see it? Truth movement take over, in full effect. Open your eyes to these lies and clean up the mess.
How can we know what's fact from the fiction? Caught in a world full of disinformation, wolves in sheep's clothing, imitations. How will you know without a foundation? How can we know what's fact from the fiction? Caught in a world full of disinformation, wolves in sheep's clothing, imitations. How will you know without a foundation?
Yo, from boys to men, from men to lords, from toys to pens, from pens to swords, womb to the tomb, cradle to the grave. Doom indeed loom, leave my fable in a cave. They worship Lucifer each night, priests of darkness that preach light. Trying to teach fright with speech trite, but I'm true grit like the first division on Omaha Beach fight. This worldly system's days are numbered, waiting I'll wander the wilderness until my ways are humbled. Behold a pale horse, study the hidden past, which apocalyptic horsemen's mounts ridden last. The political is the spiritual to the analytical. Think critical, remedy a knowledge basis that's pitiful. Or why would I ever respect your formation and stance when research is foreign to your nation of rants? Chasing slave labors at the pace of the ants, never realizing at best all you're facing is chance. Your ignorance is bliss with the elation of trance. Look beneath the surface of your vision's foundation is glance. New age charming you with subtle application of chance. You puppets represent utter supplication of dance. What's burning in this furnace? Remove pride from your discernments. Reflections on self like the burnished. As for righteousness, to us all tools were furnished. Yet it seems the only ones who can have already learned this. Some sip a toxin that could kill 100 oxen. Adoption of false doctrine like they had no other option. Mankind was stabbed in the back by Satan's blade. Fools can't see, only God leaves legacies too great to fade. A rat race enslaved. You're lost and soon you'll be too late to save, and your ultimate fate's a grave.
How can we know what's fact from the fiction? Caught in a world full of disinformation, wolves in sheep's clothing, imitations. How will you know without a foundation? How can we know what's fact from the fiction? Caught in a world full of disinformation, wolves in sheep's clothing, imitations. How will you know without a foundation?
Time to stop the music. And welcome to today. Today is Tuesday, January 29th. Today is Tuesday. Let's start again. Today is Tuesday, June 29th. No, I am not off my rocker. I just see the J and I say January, even though it's June. So please, I hit the like. Thank you if you have already hit the like. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm being purged subscribers. I know that some people might just be unsubscribing because they don't like the content. That happens. But also YouTube, as we know, does purge subscribers, whether they want to be purged or not. Hi, Typical, and hey, Doc. So there are times that you can get unsubscribed even if you don't want to be, and that's possibly happening too. Recently, I shared a video with a lot of people, especially in the Discord, but also people with my crypto business, of my friend Eric Carter, who had told a great story about his life and not giving up. And these are real stories that affect people. And I started thinking about some of my own. And so I didn't write out much, but there's he tells the story of when he was a Marine and I may upload it to my own channel because it's such a good video, and it's very good leadership education as well. Whether it's leadership, it could be leadership for your family, it could be leadership for your business, it could be leadership for a brick and mortar business or just a home-based business. But as far as when we talk to people about cryptocurrency, we want to be able to have certain ideals and understanding in mind before we do that. And so it's a big help to have someone explain their life story a little bit and then put that into practice as a leadership thing. And where his story was as a Marine, he would run and give up on himself. And I'm going to let him tell the story better because I'm going to upload his video, but I have shared it in the Discord, in the crypto channel especially. But I remember I had races like that. I used to be a marathon runner, and I also was a road bike racer, I guess you'd say. So I raced in college for my college team. And so there was one race in particular that I thought of when he said, there's more in you than you realize. And I was racing on what's called a Roubaix. And that's French, but I don't know if it means exactly this. But in this particular Roubaix, I think it means it's part on road and part off road. And we're using road bikes. So it's kind of scary on the off road because you got these skinny tires and you're going through rocks and dirt and they can flatten easily. So because we had to do several miles off road, they had these wheel trucks where they carried extra rims, extra tires, rims and tires, and you just take, if you had a flat, rather than sit there and change the flat, they'd give you a whole new wheel and you'd get your wheel back later and you could change your flat. So I was glad I didn't know what I was in for, because it was really scary on the gravel road, because at first it was nice because it was kind of hard dirt and it wasn't a lot of gravel, but eventually you get to this huge hill, and at the bottom of this huge hill is all this big thick gravel rock. And I was coming down the hill and I saw a girl wrecked over here and a girl stopped over here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna completely wreck. This is gonna be horrible. So I just completely relaxed and just got ready to wreck. And instead of wrecking, I went right through the gravel and came out the other side just fine. And so that was very interesting, because when you're trying to control things, they tend to make a bigger mess. Especially for me, when I'm trying to control things in my life, I tend to do worse with those things. I tend to make things more stressful. I tend to have more anxiety about it because I want it to go the way I want it to go. And it could just be something small or something really big. So one of the biggest lessons there was surrender. However, I had to come through that dirt road a second time, and I got through it the first time without a flat. And unfortunately, the second time I got a flat. And as I was riding back, this is a race, by the way. This isn't just a nice ride out in the country. I'm in a race, and I had been dropped initially by my teammate. So if you know anything about bike racing, hey Brenda, if you know anything about bike racing, you try to stay with the pack because you can draft off of them and keep up for a really long time, and that way you kind of, even though you're not all on the same team, you draft together for as long as you can, and people kind of start falling off later. Well, unfortunately, I fell off right at the beginning, But before I fell off, my teammate fell off, and I went back and got her. And here's what you do to get back on the pack is we were drafting with each other constantly. So if you draft every 30 seconds or so, you can pull so fast that I think Lance Armstrong learned from me. Probably not. I think he was already professional before I came along. But anyway, if you draft off each other every 30 seconds, you get enough of a break and you can pull really fast that we actually caught up to the team and got back on. But then when I fell off, I yelled out to her, I was like, hey, I fell off. And she turned around and looked at me like this and then just kept going. And I was like, so this was in the same race, same thing. So by the time I'd been way dropped off. So at this point I was just like, well, hey, at least I'm doing pretty good considering I didn't get a flat, so I'm ahead of those people. Considering I haven't wrecked, so I'm ahead of those people. And I felt pretty good. I had to come back around that dirt track a second time, and I did get a flat. So unfortunately, I had to wait for the wheel truck. When it finally came and gave me a wheel, I was so tired, and I was heading up this hill at the very end of the race, and it was the last hill I had to go, and I couldn't, why am I so tired? I had even downshifted to the, and when it comes to road bikes, you have like 25 or plus gears. I was down to the smallest gear I could think to get to, and I still could barely get up this hill. And I was so tired, I was crying. So I finally got off the bike, and I noticed that the bike tire was rubbing on the frame, just pretty much like a brake pad. And I hadn't realized I was so ready to give up. I was just crying, I was tired, I just could barely deal with it anymore. So anyway, I realized that was why I was having such a hard time, was because the tire was rubbing, because the wheel didn't fit my bike. So the tire was completely rubbing on the bike like a brake pad. And as soon as I realized that, I was like, well, geez, I guess I'm not as tired as I thought. No wonder. And when I finished, I was so mad at that gal that dropped me that the next day I was determined. And that's where I really saw my ability come out. The next day, this was college, by the way, so we're talking 20 some years ago. The next day I was so determined to drop her that we did a different race that I dropped her. We did two different races, and one was a criterion where you just do loops, and one was just a speed race out and back. And hey Linda, I'm so glad you guys are here. Anyway, I was still mad at her, but what it proved is I had so much more energy than I thought, that I was racing so hard on that criterion when I dropped her. And it's just loops, but I drop, they still pack up if you can. But I just took off. And worked so hard for the whole thing. And I also dropped her on the sprint race. And nobody knew I was mad at her. So when I got back, the guys on the men's team said, geez, Aaron, what got into you that you were killing it out there. And sadly, the motivation was anger. But it showed how much more I had in me than I believed. Because the first day I was crying, I was tired, and didn't even want to finish, was walking on my bike and blaming this other gal, and then the next day I was killing it and blowing out of the water. One of my favorite sayings is that most people never run long enough on their first win to get a second, and that's why they give up. People give up because they run out of breath, it's too hard, I can't go any further. But if you just pushed past that wall, then you would get that second wind, and you would learn what I learned as a long distance runner, is you can almost go forever when you get that second win. Of course, you have to train and everything, but I think about it all the time when I go out to just run a little bit. I'm like, oh, it's so hard. And then I remember I'm like, I'm not running far enough for this to become easier. I'm just simply doing like one block, and then I'm coming into the gym and doing stuff in there. So most people have never run long enough on their first win to get a second. So that is a big lesson. You got to keep going, or you're not going to pick up on that second win. If you just get tired and give up, then you're never going to know what you were capable of. You were never going to see how far you could really go. You're never going to see you pull off that distance that you could do. You could do it if you just push through on that wall. And so, you guys, I've only been an entrepreneur for maybe the last 6 years, and I've only been doing network marketing and home-based business for the last 4. So as someone who's only done that for a few years, it's a pretty big deal that I'm doing as well as I am. It's like someone could look at me and go, well, I don't have the skills you have, and I don't have the network that you have, and I don't know the things that you know. I had to learn those things by myself. I didn't go to a course. I didn't pay anyone to train me. I didn't even get a mentor like Eric talks about. He's very right about getting a mentor, but there's lots of them out there. I can mentor now. Eric can mentor. We have so many people in just our World Crypto Life business and our 7K Metals business that could mentor. And he's right, you guys. All you have to do is use us. I've told you guys over and over, put me on the phone as much as possible. I want to be busy. I want to be busy on the phone all day long. I didn't learn that stuff. Like I said, I didn't pay a coach, a life coach or anything like that. I had to read books. I had to put it into action. I had to see what worked and what didn't work. And I still don't know a lot of things. But yet I'm still able, and what I did know is I needed to build a network of people. And that was a long game. I started the YouTube channel 3 years ago now. I got people interested in gold and silver with the raffles. And then we all talked about blockchain together, and then we're learning the crypto together. I didn't know how to talk about crypto in December when I signed up for it, but I understood how to talk to people, and you guys trusted me because we're friends, we're a family, and we're a team. So I didn't have to have 30 years experience in cryptocurrency, network marketing, home-based business, and entrepreneurship to know how to say, well, I need to build a team that trusts me, because who do we have first? Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That's who we have first. And because we make him first, everything else falls into place when it comes to trust for us, because we've seen our fruits. You guys, I've seen your fruits and you've seen mine, and we understand each other better that way. So that's the kind of network that I decided to build. And it took time, but that was a long game, just like a marathon though. You can't just go out and then go, well, I'm tired after a mile, so I give up. We have to focus on the long game here. So you don't have to be a 30-year experienced entrepreneur to do this well, but be an entrepreneur, because there's no reason to just do one thing and only know that one thing. I used to be of the belief that you went to school and you became skilled at that one thing and you did it for many, many years, and then you got to retire and be happy. That's not how you actually become wealthy. And I don't even mean wealthy like a mansion and lots of cars. I mean, if you want to have good purchasing power, that's wealth. Your time is your wealth. So if you want to become wealthy, you're going to learn how to do multiple different things. Yes, HODL, the long game. If you realize that you are skilled at many more than one thing, which is why we're learning self-sufficiency. That's why we have a prepping channel in the server, on the Discord server. That's why we have a channel on gold and silver. That's why we have channels on crypto. That's why we have channels on so many different things. There are probably too many channels in there. But the point of all that is so that we can learn things that will improve our self-sufficiency in life, learning from each other, gaining off each other. We can't do it alone. Okay, I am going to get to a raffle, but I wanted to mention one more thing. Another thing I've been learning a lot about lately is exercising our rights. Knowing our rights, understanding lawfulness versus legality, sovereignty versus citizenship, and I am no expert on that, but I think it's something that is going to be helpful to us to know. It's uncomfortable because you're going to push back on people who do. That's right, the Bible does not say retire. Bless you for saying that, Brenda. That is such a good point. But anyway, when we're exercising our God-given rights, I'm not even talking First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, I'm talking about our God-given rights. When we exercise them, it's uncomfortable because we push back against a system that doesn't understand that. They're used to the way it is. You do things the way you do it. You hold cops and federal people at a certain level above us when really they're public servants and they're supposed to serve us. They're supposed to serve and protect. They work for us. We don't work for them, and yet we revere them or hold them at a level that they shouldn't be held at. They are drunk on their own power. And I'm talking about security guards and government employees, federal buildings, what you name it. These people are supposed to be public servants to us. They've accepted a job where they are under policies and procedures that don't apply to you and me because they work for us. But we don't know that because it's been turned around to make us believe that we have to be afraid of them, that we have to do what they tell us to do at all times. Now, there's times that you need to, but it's when are those times, and what information do you give and what information don't you give, and what God-given rights do we have that others shouldn't have above us? So I did get pulled over yesterday because my plates, the permanent sticker wasn't on the back. It should have been on the back. It is there now. What's up, Duke? Anyway, so he didn't know if my plates were expired or what have you. Turns out they weren't, but I didn't have a current insurance card even though the car is insured. Well, I drive the vehicle but it's not, I don't own it, but I do pay for it because it's my truck that I use to do all the work for my friend and landlord, Dave. So he owns it. He buys the insurance. Well, I paid for the insurance, but he buys it, and then he gets the plates and did all that. So it's in his name. But as this cop pulls me over, because he's identifying me, I asked to identify him, and I said, name and badge number, please. And he gave me his last name, wouldn't give me his first, but he did give me his badge number. I said, what's your first name? Because I have to give him my first name. I have to give him a whole identification card, which he's actually supposed to give to me. So he's supposed to give me 3 forms of identification in this situation. But anyway, he refused to give me his first name, and then he asked me why I was having an attitude with him. Now, here's the thing. I learned. I could smile a little bit more so that I don't seem like I'm having an attitude, because I wasn't really trying to have an attitude. I was just practicing exercising my rights. But it did come across like I had an attitude. So anyway, he did give me his name and badge number, asked why I had an attitude. I said, I don't have an attitude, but here's the paperwork, Yeah, they're supposed to have a business card too. And yes, they do power trip. They do get drunk on their own power very frequently. So he goes off. I give him the stuff that I have. He says, is this your current address? Because I don't put my current address on my driver's license. And I said, no. And he goes, what's your current address? I said, I can give you a P.O. box. And he goes, I'd prefer to have your address. I said, well, I'm not going to give you my current address. So then he skips that. He goes, what's your phone number? I said, do I have to give you my phone number? He goes, well, you don't have to. It's your right not to. I said, well, then I'm not going to. And he goes, but most people do. And I said, well, most people don't know their rights. And then he said, you're right. And he walked off. Very interesting conclusion. It turned out very well. I'm very surprised. Montana police are rated the 48th of 50 nationally. Oh my gosh. Well, that's not surprising whatsoever. Anyway, this cop in particular goes back to his car, and it doesn't take very long to come back, and he gave me a warning, which I was shocked, because he could have given me a ticket for no insurance. The plates probably, when I finally found the registration, it showed they were permanent, so he couldn't give me a ticket for that. But he could have given me a ticket for no insurance. So then he asked about the gold notes in my wallet, because I had to open my wallet to show the ID. And I said, oh, well, these are gold. And I said, do you want to see them? And we had a kind of nice conversation. He goes, so why did you have the attitude? I said, I really wasn't trying to have an attitude. I'm just exercising my rights. And with that, he was kind of nice. And he goes, well, I'm just giving you a warning. And go ahead and get the copy of the insurance from your boss and everything. And make sure you get that done. And then he said, I hope this was a good interaction. He goes, I hope this is one of the better interactions for you. And I said, it went great. So it was very surprising how it ended. It was uncomfortable. I was nervous to do it. He was put off, thought I was having an attitude, and yet it turned out really well. And it doesn't always. I'm not saying that's always going to happen. But yet in this particular situation, it turned out well. What did I learn? I learned I could smile a little bit more so that I don't seem like I'm having so much of an attitude while still exercising my rights, and just say, I'm just exercising my rights, and smile. What's wrong with that? I can smile. Because he wasn't really being a jerk, and he did have the right to pull me over because of the plates. So anyway, it was a good practice, and thank you, Genetics, for saying that. It was good practice in exercising my rights, because it is really coming out of your comfort zone. Well, my comfort zone. And it is a little freaky, because you don't know. I guess that's probably why I came across as having an attitude, was because I was a little bit nervous. Well, a lot nervous, because I'm pushing back on this guy and I'm not used to doing it. And people would tell you, why do that? You don't need to do that. Like, why would you want to push back on a police officer? Why would you want to do that kind of stuff? And I think there's a time and a place you got to do that. There really is a time and a place to push back on these guys. Now, maybe getting pulled over for something simple like that isn't. But at the same time, I also have the right not to give out my address and my phone number, which he acknowledged. So there you guys have it. Okay, what we do have is a Raffle, and it is a 2-ounce, let me go back to the big camera. It is a 2-ounce Libertad. Can we see that? Let's see. There we go. 2-ounce Libertad. It's funny how it messes up my green screen to do this. 2-ounce Libertad for the win. And we've got 10 spots, that got in on this. Let's see. Duke says, the last encounter I had here, I actually managed to run into a really nice policeman. So there definitely are some nice policemen, and there are definitely some that will not overstep they understand, and they think more and more getting used to these First Amendment audits, which is not what I was doing. But because there are guys out there purposely doing these audits, I think some of them are getting a little more used to getting a little bit of this. But there's a guy, the Amagansett Press website, or YouTube that I watch, they came to Billings, Montana and did this. No cops were called on them, but the post office was horrific to them, and that does not represent me. I'm a Gansett Press. Not that they'll ever watch this. Okay, so we've got Justin, we've got Mr. Badfish here. Sorry, I forgot his first name. We've got Marie and Justin. That's it. Marie, Justin, and Mr. Badfish. So I'm going to draw these. And Mr. Badfish, I don't believe you paid up on the Cash App. So if you win, I'm not going to ship this to you until you pay for your spots. And if you don't win, I hope you're able to get your spots paid for. So, yeah, the fact that he chilled out and agrees. Yeah, and okay, so there was another time where the cops did pull me over, and they pulled me into my driveway. When I came onto my property, I told him he couldn't. Daniel, thank you. I told him he couldn't come on my property. He said, there's no law that I can't come on your property. I'm like, well, you can't just pull me over in my driveway when you had plenty of time to pull me over way back there. And he was so mad about it that he called for backup. And I'm like, you really need backup to pull me over for speeding 5 miles per hour over the speed limit? Well, it's protocol. I'm like, it's not protocol. Anyway, that guy got mad, but he also only gave me a warning because I think he knew I was right. Okay, enough of that. I could tell stories forever, and you guys want to see who wins, right? Don't you want to see? Let's generate a result. Number 10. Number 10 it is. Back to Discord. I'm blind here. Number 10 is Justin, who is very, very, very lucky. He wins a lot. All right. Well, congratulations to Justin. And Doc, thanks for saying you'll get a hold of Daniel for whenever he is available. And I appreciate you guys taking the time. This isn't really I want to put together maybe more of my story on some of the racing and biking stories that I've had that, running and hitting that wall and stuff like that. So I'll just have to think about it, make an outline, and put some stuff together on that, because not because I think it's such a good description of how we mentally have to get over those walls, even in the physical realm. Like it's a physical thing. If you can get over that wall mentally in your physical exercise, you can get over that wall mentally in the real world, and you can build these businesses. You guys, anyone can do this. I know you can. Anyone can be a leader, because we have our own teams and we're building our own teams. So just like Doc has people, he's building his team. And even you genetics, we could get people signed up with you, but you got to use me. You basically tell them as little as possible, and then get someone like me or Eric on the phone, and we'll help you do the rest, or get them on a Zoom. I think the Zooms are really the best because they're the best overview of everything. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys being here. I got to go put some radiator fluid in my truck because a hose blew. It overheated and the hose blew and the radiator fluid went everywhere. So the hose is fixed. Got to put the radiator fluid back in, and hopefully everything works well from there. And I love you guys. And we'll see you on Thursday night for a live show with Ninja Scroll, because we had to quit early the other time. And I appreciate you guys so much. Please hit the like. Please share. Please talk to your teams. Please get people involved in crypto. Let's get this business rolling. Let's get you guys earning income like me and like Eric. And come on, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Peace, guys. Love you.
I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. I am not of this world. When they see me coming, most people turn around and start to running because they find it strange. I speak another language because I was adopted by the God of changes. The old man into a new creature. Don't mess with men in black because they try to heat you with this thing called temptation. Have you go into a world called damnation. And on this earth there's a lot of us. I am not alone. Bunch of ETs waiting on the phone home. And when the call's answered, we gone in the rapture. Warp speed, faster than the Enterprise can catch us. Don't call no Will Smith, he cannot save the day. Jesus set me free. Independence Day. And if you wanna know which world I come from, it's not on the map, but it's near the sun. I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien.
I'm a foreigner, a visitor, a stranger to this earth. I made my journey here by the way of second birth. Not through the womb, but by His Spirit and His grace. Transform me from within because I'm from another place. Metamorphosis, mutations, He made modifications. He changed me from within and created alterations. Emerged and reborn my human form as an illusions. The only thing close to proof of evolution. This body will decay, I'm a temporary resident. My soul is eternal, separated from the elements. I've mutated, I'm a stranger, I'm a new man. A traveler and a tourist to this crazy land. You cross a path with some creatures from another place. And if you ask us how we got here, we will say by grace. We're not the type you think that fly around in spaceships. We follow Christ and unlike them we really exist.
I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien.